Okay, so I know it's been so long since I've done a video and I'm really sorry, but as you might have seen from the previous videos on my channel or on Instagram or whatever, I was in Japan for a month, so it has been quite a while. I'm sorry. So we're gonna get back into the videos where I'm talking to you a bit more. I'm still gonna keep doing the kind of travel vloggy typey videos, but on with today's video. So for those of you who don't know, I am a plant-based eater, so I do not eat meat, dairy or eggs. I'm transitioning from vegetarian to vegan currently, so still trying to figure out the whole social and family occasion dynamic, but when I cook for myself, I eat vegan. I'm not calling myself vegan yet because I still haven't cut out all of the products that I own yet, which I don't want to throw them out and waste them. So a lot of people ask me how I went going to Japan as a plant-based eater. I'm just going to tell you straight off the bat, it was one of the hardest eating experiences I've ever had in my life. When I traveled to Europe last year, I was vegetarian, so I was still eating cheese and that was totally fine through Europe. The meat issue wasn't a problem. I feel like I still could have gone vegan. I feel like there was a lot more options there as far as that was concerned. I think I was very misled by Australia's amazing vegetarian and vegan options in the Japanese restaurants. I think I was a little naive, or maybe I was a little uneducated on the way that they eat over there. I knew obviously that they were big on seafood and eating crazy animals, and it's just, but I had no idea on how much I would struggle to eat a well-balanced, healthy diet. My partner is a meat eater, and he even said towards the end of our trip that he missed vegetables. So I don't know how the Japanese people eat at home, but it was just so unhealthy for a long period of time to be eating the kind of foods that we were being served. A lot of the food that I ate when I was over there was carbs with very little vegetable. When, you know, in Australia we have so many like tofu curries and avocado hand rolls or cucumber hand rolls or the miso soups, or you have like vegetarian / vegan ramens and curries, fried noodles, dumplings, like there's so many options here. But I really struggled being able to find food that was, if you are vegetarian, you eat fish. Yes, an ocean animal is a vegetable. So over in Japan, I was classified as vegan, which I was more than okay with, but it did make things very hard for me. So most of the miso soups in Japan have got either clam or fish broth. Actually, most of the ramens have got fish or pork broth, or pork bone broth, which just makes me want to throw up. The first place that I landed was Osaka. Now, we had no idea how difficult it was going to be. We had to go on quite a long walk when we arrived to find somewhere for me to eat. And, you know, we just got off the plane and we were buggered, and we went to this curry restaurant, and they had pictures out the front that had mushroom curry, corn curry, spinach curry. There were so many vegetable options. I was like, great, awesome. So we walked in there and all of their sauces were made from beef. So then we had to leave the restaurant and go and try and find somewhere else for me to eat, and we ended up going to McDonald's. Yes, I know, McDonald's. That was the only place that I could get something near our Airbnb that was vegan. I hate buying anything from McDonald's because obviously I'm still supporting a company like that, but I was literally dying and there was nothing else that I could eat, so I got some French fries, which I wasn't very happy about. Then the next day we went exploring and again found it really difficult to find anything. We eventually came across this sushi restaurant where I was able to just get a couple of little like hand rolls with some cucumber in it, but that was literally about it. And there was some pickled eggplant, which is a thing over there. It's quite nice actually. I quite liked it. But I really struggled to find anywhere that had anything, and so the entire time we were in Osaka we were basically looking for we really struggled to find anything apart from sushi restaurants that had anything that I could eat apart from steamed rice, which I did have to do on a few occasions. So most of the time when I was in Osaka, we went to the same restaurant 3 times, and I ordered cucumber rolls, pickle rolls, pickled eggplant, and steamed rice, just so I had something that was a little bit more filling. Then we did our research when we went on to the next places, and we tried to find places. So we found a vegetarian/vegan okonomiyaki place. Okonomiyaki, if you don't know, is a Japanese pancake, and not all of them are vegan. Generally they're made with eggs, but you can get them without it. And then we found some like vegan ramen places that did like a miso broth without the fish, or a soy sauce broth without the fish, and it was just vegetables, which was delicious, and we ate there 3 times. We found some really great restaurants in Kyoto, in the Shinbashi Dori area, in Gion. They had a vegetarian menu, not their entire menu, but they had a vegetarian menu section, which was the first place that I had seen something like that, and I was like, so from there I ordered a curry which had tempura vegetables on top with the curry sauce and vegetables on the rice. It was a big curry rice bowl, which was just amazing, and Ben had something from there as well, and we both agreed that was like one of our favorite meals of the entire trip. It was just insane. In Tokyo, we found this one at Tokyo Station. It was a completely vegan restaurant. I did get a few shots of that, which will be coming in my video, or if it's posted, I'll link it down below. That was an entirely vegan restaurant, so they had dumplings, they had noodles, ramen noodles, and they had curry and stuff. It was just amazing. We ate there 3 times. And any of the places that we went where I really struggled, I would end up eating some form of either pickles or steamed rice. And I think the lack of vegetables and the lack of calories that I was getting, basically the lack of all my essential nutrients, which I wasn't getting because Japanese food has huge amounts of carbs, huge amounts of meat, and tiny little portions of vegetables. So I really did struggle maintaining my energy, and towards the end of the trip I did actually get sick. Our last day in Tokyo, which was our last day in Japan, I was bedridden and I ended up in tears, which was just icing on the cake. I had no energy. I felt so tired. I could barely walk. I was in pain. I could tell that I was really lacking in all of my iron and B12 and everything, which I have no issue with eating plant-based at home, but eating over there, there's just not enough nutrients in steamed white rice and whatever else I was eating. It was just a nightmare. Now on to the more positive part, where I'm going to give you some tips on how to go about eating there if you decide to travel there yourself and you're a plant-based eater. So what I would suggest is finding the nearest grocery store to you. So where we stayed in Osaka, there was the most incredible grocery store probably that I saw in the entire of Japan, that was right near our Airbnb. So we went there and I got some little fried tofu triangles, I got some mushrooms, I got some spring onions or leeks, which they pre-cut in little containers. We bought bread, we bought juice, and all of their juice there is always 100% fruit juice, which I thought was really amazing. Going to your local grocery store and getting everything that you can to make meals for yourself. Instead of going out for dinner, you don't need to go out for dinner every night. Eat in, cook something and eat it at home. You can buy really cheap packets of noodles, buy a couple of bags of miso soup, and every Airbnb we stayed in had a kettle, and so you just get the boiling water, 2 sachets of miso soup, add in the noodles and your vegetables, and you've got yourself a miso ramen. The other thing was breakfast was really easy. There was lots of, at least at this grocery store, there was a lot of really cheap fruit. However, in a lot of the other grocery stores, fruit and vegetables are really damn expensive, and I was so outraged by it. It cost $4 for one apple.
$4 for one apple.
So it did make it really hard because, you know, I was essentially spending just as much on buying and making my own food as I would have just having someone else do it for me, and without all the excess plastic and crap, because I swear to God, Japan used so much plastic on all of their food, it is a joke. But yes, we went and did a grocery shop every time we came to a new place, and we were able to find heaps of snacks and things to take with us. So if I was ever put in a position where there was not enough for me to eat, I at least had like rice snacks, or I had nuts or wasabi peas. The 7-Elevens and the Lawson convenience stores always have the little rice balls or triangles which are wrapped in seaweed. There's usually like one plant-based option which has got seaweed inside, or the natto, which is like soybeans that are kind of sticky and have this like stringy goo. I didn't like it personally, but I know a lot of people that do. So yeah, I would highly recommend keeping heaps and heaps and heaps of snacks on you. They're really affordable, and keeping water bottles on you all the time so you're at least staying as hydrated as physically possible. The other thing that was quite helpful was we always had Wi-Fi or internet. So having Wi-Fi really helped being able to find where there were vegetarian restaurants or vegan friendly restaurants, and it also made it really easy to find the places as well, because obviously they're not on your regular map. So what I would recommend that you do, which is what I did not do, is plan in advance. So I would recommend having a look online at all the places that you're staying when you're in Japan. If you're just going into Tokyo, then look up all of the vegan vegetarian places that there are in Tokyo and try and locate yourself somewhere that's near there, because the last thing that you want to do is have to get on the train every night when you want to go for dinner. We were lucky, a lot of the places that we were staying in were quite close to the restaurants or the train stations that we were near, but I would strongly suggest doing a bit of research and marking off all of the places that you want to eat and knowing how far they are away from where you're staying, and just be prepared. Just be prepared for a lot of steamed rice. I would also recommend bringing some sort of vitamins or supplements, or you know, like vitamin D or vitamin B or vitamin A, like things like that that I know I wasn't getting enough of. I went in the middle of winter, so that didn't help on the vitamin D side of things, but I would suggest just looking into it if you know that you are, like I find I very rarely get sick since I went vegetarian/vegan. So when I do, I know that it's what I'm eating or what I'm not eating. Generally, the only time that I get sick is when I come home from traveling or the end of traveling, and that's generally to do with how I've eaten and all the bacteria that you are around when you're on the plane. If your immune system is quite low, you're more susceptible to catching the bacteria and germs and getting yourself sick, which is unfortunate, and we want to avoid that. So yeah, I would recommend, I didn't even bring any you know, like medicine sort of tablets, like cold and flu tablets or anything. I didn't end up having the cold flu side of it. I just kind of was quite weak and tired more than anything. I just had no energy whatsoever, and that's because I was not eating barely any fruit or vegetables. The other thing I would recommend, which is what I did on my last day, is to go to the store. I bought some, they had some like pre-cooked rice in their like hot section, so I bought the rice, I bought some cherry tomatoes and a little bit of cabbage, a little bit of cucumber, a little bit of there was like a pre-made salad which I just threw the dressing out because it was no use for me. But there was corn, carrot, cabbage, spring onions and stuff all in this one little container, so I just added that as well and made my own dressing with some soy sauce. Put a bit of like lemon juice or whatever you want as the dressing. But I just found that loading myself up the last few days when I was in Tokyo with all I ate was pretty much a almost raw diet of fruit and vegetables for about 3 days. And by the time I got home, I was pretty much fixed. I had a 15-hour sleep when I got home and I was good as new. So it really just goes to show that you can heal yourself with your diet if you know what foods to put in and you're making sure that you're getting all the food that you need, the right amount of calories with the right amount of nutrients. Yeah, unfortunately, Japan seemed to be very uneducated and very unaware of the vegetarian vegan movement. They just had no idea, a lot of them, what I was even talking about when I told them I was vegetarian. They didn't understand what it was. They don't really do a lot of, you know, steamed vegetables or like stir-fried vegetables. That's not really their thing. I actually struggled to find tofu that wasn't in some sort of fish broth, but you can get steamed rice, you can have cold soba noodles, which I just put soy sauce over the top. There's lots of carb things that will fill you and satisfy you to an extent. But I would strongly suggest that you go to grocery stores and just load up on as much fruit and veg as you can without breaking the bank. Don't be buying $4 apples. But, you know, the bananas were quite reasonable and I was in winter time, so obviously the summer fruits were very expensive, but you know, their citrus was quite cheap, and bananas and tomatoes and avocados weren't too bad, so I still had enough food to eat. But it was definitely a challenge, and I would just suggest if you're going to do it, like, I mean, Japan was great, and I would suggest, you know, that people do go there at some point in their lives, because it's one of the only first world Asian countries and they just have a really interesting culture and there's so many different things to do and see, and I really loved my time there apart from eating, which was really disappointing because I think, you know, food can really affect your mood. I know I got quite upset at one point because I had just eaten the same food for 6 days straight and I was lacking in some sustenance and satisfaction from my food. I was really struggling. By the end of it, all I wanted to do was just have a big bowl of pasta or like some sort of Mexican food. I was just craving like lots of food that I wasn't getting there. They don't have a very wide variety of food. A lot of people said, why didn't I eat fish? If it was that hard, I should have just eaten fish and then I would have been okay. But like I said, my partner, who is a meat eater, said by the end of it that he wasn't feeling so great and he missed vegetables. It just goes to show that their diet is not as balanced as what I had thought that it was, and I would suggest doing a bit of research, doing shopping, bringing vitamins, making sure that you're looking after yourself, keeping well hydrated, bringing lots of snacks, and don't give up. Don't let the struggle make you go against your morals or your values. Don't let hunger kill your compassion. I think it's really hard to, when you're really hungry, sometimes, you know, it would be just easier to eat the meat because it's so readily available, but I think it says more about you if you don't, and I was very proud of myself to have come home saying that I did not touch any meat or fish product intentionally. I did have a few slip-ups here and there, but just know that that's okay. In Japan, it's quite easy to tell if something has fish in it. Generally, I could tell by sniffing it, although there were some things I did unfortunately have to taste and then spit out. To stay strong shows your strength, your compassion, and your strong values towards this topic, towards helping animals, towards your health, and I think that's something to be really proud of. I don't want you to feel discouraged about traveling on a plant-based diet. You just need to make sure that you plan ahead, do your research, know what you're in for, because I didn't, and I hope that maybe this has helped one of you out there who has either gone through the same thing or is concerned about future travel. Okay, I think that is it for today. I can't think of any other tips that I had for you. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be doing a lot more of these videos soon, and I will see you then. Bye!